guys. Hi.
I think they like you.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I like you guys too. Wow, you look so good. Jeez.
That's good. Yeah, so welcome back to Raleigh. We did this about 7 years ago.
Well,
I
yeah,
believe.
7.
Yeah.
Wow, time gets by. It's great to be here. It's great to be in Raleigh, and it's great to see all you guys. It's really, yeah, it's good to be here.
No, it's absolutely wonderful having you. What I'd love to do is, I don't have very much, but I just want to say, you've had such an amazing career, so many roles, so many sets on film and television. So I'll just throw this out. What was the craziest day that you had on any set?
Wow, the craziest day. I mean, they're all kind of crazy. So, geez, I don't know. Nothing really comes to mind. Like I said, they're all kind of crazy. Yeah, nothing really comes to mind.
Well, they're all sane and nice and normal, and everything happened. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, for the
I
most
envy
part.
your career even more.
Yeah, no, for the most part, I mean, it's I just take crazy as part of it. So when things get a little crazy, it's just that's what I'm dealing with for the most part. When it doesn't seem crazy, then that's unusual. But yeah, no, I've had some over the years, but nothing really pops out, comes to mind that much.
Well, you have good memories then.
I have a lot of good memories. I've been doing it for almost 60 years, and I've worked with some really, really amazing people. Very, very, I'm in awe of the people that I work with. I mean, I work with Betty Davis. I mean, it's like Laurence Olivier, and I've just worked with some amazing people and I'm always impressed. I'm always very thankful to be kind of in the mix, to be counted among. I'm always impressed with how people do their thing. It's always kind of magical for me. So when they get a little bit crazy, I just go, well, they're crazy, but they're talented. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, right on. Well, on behalf of myself and all the fans here, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your talents and your professionalism and for all the performances you've given us over the years. It's been an absolute delight, and I'm so looking forward to the next thing.
Thank you. That means it means a lot. It really does. You do the work, which is just a job. You do your job, and you go home, and hopefully someone will see it and appreciate it. And the fact that so many of you guys are sitting here, that is a compliment, and it means a lot to me. So thank you for acknowledging that.
No, absolute pleasure. All right, we got a big line, so I want to jump on in. Let me get my question candy here for everybody. And of course, whoever asks the first question gets 2 pieces. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Jay.
Hey, Jay, what you got?
I just want to say thank you for the photo op on Friday, Mr. Hudson. That absolutely made my year. But what I wanted to ask was, last year you were in the retirement plan with some great people like Nicolas Cage, Ron Perlman, and the great Rick Fox. And I just wanted to know if you had any fun stories from that set.
We shot it in the Cayman Islands, and it was during COVID. But Nicholas was a lot of fun to work with, along with Ron and everybody else. Only thing that kind of comes to mind is I like watches, and Nicolas Cage is really known for collecting a lot of watches. I mean, he has. When we were down there, they would close the store so he could go in and shop watches. See, he buys a lot of watches. But he came up to me one day and he says, "Ernie, check this out." And it's a watch. It's a rare. It was a Breitling. I think it was a rare Breitling. They only made it was a Grand Seiko. They only made so many of them, and he thought it was really cool. And I said, "Wow!" I said, "This really kind of neat." And so my son's a watch maker. He repairs high-end watches, and so we sort of went and he dug around and he found me one. And so I got it, and I went to Nick and I said, "Hey Nick, I got the watch. And he says, "Oh, you have one too." So, and it was just then I realized he didn't really want me to have the watch. he just wanted to show me what he had. So I really, disappointed him. But I still have the watch.
There you go. Great question. Good cosplay, by the way, too. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Christopher. Mr. Ern.
Hey.
What ghost would you be from the Ghostbusters in real life?
What ghost would I be in real life?
Yeah, from Ghostbusters.
Well, if I'm going to be in real life, I'd really rather not be a ghost. But, well, I don't know. I always sort of like Slimer seems to be sort of, yeah. He just seemed kind of friendly. He was probably as close to Casper as you're going to get in Ghostbusters. So the other ghosts are a little bit, a little strange, a little weird. Yeah, yeah. So I'd have to say Slimer. I don't want to be a terror dog or anything like that.
What would you like to be if you could be a ghost?
I don't remember actually any of the ghosts.
Okay, all right.
I could have said anything. He wouldn't have known any difference.
It's all good. Here you go. Thank you. Great question, though. Thank you, Christopher. Hey, what's your name?
Scott.
What you got, Scott?
Well, on the set of Space Hunter, which of the castmates you had? I know it sounds like you get along with pretty much everybody, but
Right.
who did you kind of relate to the most?
On Space Hunter, that was Peter Strauss.
And the correct title is Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
Forbidden Zone,
in
yeah.
3D.
In 3, there you go. Molly Ringwald. She was in it, and Michael Ironside. I remember. So who would I relate most to? Who'd
you get along with well?
Oh yeah, no, I get along with everybody. Very rarely do I meet anybody I don't get along with, because when they get stupid, I just stop talking to them, and that way we get along well. It's like I don't go down that stupid road if I can help it. But I liked, everybody was really good. Molly, we did a television show called Secret Life of the American Teenager, and I played a psychiatrist on that, and so it was great to see her all grown up, now. And Peter was really, a lot of fun. He kept telling me when something was confusing that when you're on thin ice, skate as quickly as you can. And I'm never quite sure what he meant by that, other than just hurry up and get this over with. I don't know, I got along with everybody. Of course, I've never been invited to anybody's house, so I don't know. But yeah, no, it was a good set. And in fact, Michael Ironside, when he's from Canada, and when he came to the States, he lived with me for a while. So he's and we did Transformers Prime. He did one of the characters on Transformers. But yeah, no, I liked everybody.
Great question. I still have my 3D glasses from that one, actually. Hi, what's your name?
Mike.
Mike, what you got?
Well, before I even get started, everything I've ever seen you in, you've been fantastic.
Thank
you
you.
were a huge part of my upbringing, and it's been a privilege to be able to share some of that stuff with like my kids and even some friends that are in their 20s that hadn't seen like the original Ghostbusters. I showed them last weekend. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
The question I have though is probably going to be on the bittersweet side, but it's in regards to the Crow.
Okay.
Do you have, obviously, what happened around that, but do you have any memories or interesting interactions with Brandon that maybe you could take away that, you look fondly on?
Well, the Crow, I met Brandon Lee in Vancouver. I was working with Miguel Ferrar on a television show called Broken Badges. And Brandon had just finished shooting a movie in China. He came over for about a week, and he just sort of hung out. And I got to know him fairly well. And I really liked him. He was really a nice young man. And when The Crow came up, I'm sure he kind of put my name in the mix and wanted me to play the officer in The Crow. I just thought he was just a really sweet, charming man. Most actors, including myself, if I'm working on the show and there's time between scenes, I'll go to my dressing room because I just kind of need to, I don't really hang out. but Brandon would be there 100%. He just sort of made everybody welcome. He was just really very generous. I always felt with his time, and um, the memory I remember most about Brandon is we had dinner with him a night or so before he died, and my wife and I, who's here, but and he was just always very generous. And I got into a conversation about how I've been acting for a long time and nothing seemed to be happening, and he was encouraging me to sort of hang in, and told me that he had just signed a 3-picture deal. He was getting married. They had just bought a house, and just how his life was, the future was bright. And then the next day he was gone. So it's just a reminder that this is all so delicate. You never really know. But I remember reading, there's a line in a script I read once that said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. We just don't really know. So, but I miss him because he was just very kind and very generous. And you know, I meet a lot of people, and they don't have to be kind, and not everybody is. But when I see someone who's really sincere, it just leaves an impression, and it makes me want to be a better person, especially when I'm working on the set. So I just I have a hard time now, you know, even understanding how that could possibly happen, but it did. But I love him. He'll always be a part of the best of who I am, you know.
Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
Name is Randy. Well, I'd just like to say that Oz is my favorite show of all time. You did an awesome job of playing Ward and Glenn on that show.
Thank
And
you.
my question to you is, how did it make you feel when they unexpectedly canceled Quantum Leap?
Oh, Quantum Leap. Oh, wow. Well, it's always a surprise because we did Quantum Leap, and I'd watched the original Quantum Leap, and when they asked me to come and sort of run the headquarters, and we're kind of figuring out, you know, because it wasn't a love relationship, and we're trying to figure out the way to go, and it took a season, I felt, to kind of begin to get on track. And you hope they'll stick with the show long enough for it to really, you know. And just as we were kind of finding our way, they canceled the show. We got 2 seasons in, but they canceled it, and it was just really, it was disappointing, if I'm really honest. Okay, really honest. I feel like I've been doing this for a long time, and I've managed to save enough money to where I'm gonna be okay. You know, I mean, I like to think so, unless I do something really stupid like, you know, buy an airplane or something. I'm going to be good. But the cast that I work with, Raymond Lee, and they were really, really good actors just starting out. And when they cancel a show like that, sometimes the actor gets blamed for it. And I'm hoping that it won't impact their careers in a negative way, because they're really talented and really fun to work with. And I just have so much love for all of them. That's my concern, and I'm sure they'll be fine. But I was really disappointed for their sakes, you know. Yeah, Caitlin Bassett had just bought a house, and you know, so yeah, you know. But I'm sure they'll be fine.
Thank you. Great question. Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
Caitlin. What is it like working on the Ghostbuster movies, like the old and the new ones?
Well, we did Ghostbusters, the first one. It was, you know, it was challenging in so many ways, and yet just a lot of fun in other ways. Shooting a big movie in New York was really great. And then it took us 5 years before we got the second movie happening. And then after that, it looked like the whole thing was over. It was going to be no more Ghostbusters. I wasn't sure if Bill Murray would even agree to do it, because Bill, the movies he's done, he's never really done a sequel to them. So the idea of getting him back again to do another movie seemed like impossible. And I had kind of given up on the whole Ghostbuster thing after the the second movie. And then I was kind of surprised that after about 10 years, I would run into people wearing the Ghostbuster jumpsuit. And sometimes I see these weird cars that they would turn into an ectomobile. And people were making their backpacks. I'm like, wow, it's been like 10 years and they're still liking the movie. And then 15 years later, you know, people were playing the song, and 20 years later, people were still loving the movie. And that was really kind of unusual. And I realized that it wasn't so much the studio, but it was the fans who loved the movie who just kept it alive. The studio was kind of like behind. You know, there weren't a lot of, you know, the merchandise, but fans began to make up their own backpacks and they began to put stuff together. So when we finally got another film up, and that was the one, Paul Feig's movie with the ladies playing Ghostbusters, that was a surprise, you know, and but it really was a little bit different because they tried to reboot it, and it was kind of, we weren't Ghostbusters in the movie. But when we got to Afterlife, it was really, I didn't believe it was really happening until I almost got on the set. It's like, oh, they're really going to do this. And when I walked on the set and we had a scene in our jumpsuits, and I saw Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, who I hadn't seen in a while, it was kind of emotional. I mean, it was just really great to see how old they had gotten. And no, not really. I'm just teasing. No, it was just great to see them in their jumpsuits and the Siani Potts and Sigourney Weaver. You know, yeah, it was. It always touches my heart to see them not only still around and but still active. You know, Sigourney's, you know, doing that whole series of movies that I can't think of the name of now, but you know, the Avatar and all that. And Annie had a series, Little Shelton or Young Shelton or something. I've never seen it, but I know she's working. But you know, and so everybody's still vital and still active. And then to meet Paul Rudd, who they said he was the sexiest man in the world at one point. Maybe he still is. I don't know, but yeah, I really and McKenna Grace, and it's just a great group of people. I just love, you know, I love them. I love the idea of them moving the franchise forward, and I think fans. The one thing about Ghostbusters that makes it so special to me is that it crosses generations, and I see older people. I've seen people in their 90s laughing out loud at Ghostbusters, and I see little great grandkids, you know, 3, 4 years old, laughing at the movie, and it crosses and it brings families together in a really nice, special way, and that's invaluable to me. So to be a part of that is, I just feel so thankful that, you know, there's a film in my filmography. I did a play in Minneapolis, an August Wilson play a few years back, and everybody in the show had been acting for at least 30 years. And some had done a couple of movies, but none that anyone would remember or recognize. And so to be an actor and to have something that goes around the world that people love and embrace, that's invaluable. And if you go to my house, I've won some awards, a few. Yeah, no, you can applaud when I actually win some serious awards, but there's been a few over the years. But my shelves aren't loaded with Academy Awards or Emmys or whatever. But the only reason I know that I've had some impact is because people love the movies because of Ghostbusters, and so it gives my life meaning, and it makes it, you know, I'm just so blessed to have. To be a part of this and a part of people's lives. And people tell me stories of when they first saw the movie and got pregnant. You know, it lets me know the movie has impact. You know, so yeah, no, yeah. So it's great and it's great to see the guys still going. You know, every once in a while I'll get a call from Bill or Danny, and yeah, it's a blessing.
Great, thank you. Great question. Hey, what's your name?
Zach. So when you auditioned for Winston for the animated series for Ghostbusters, and they turned you down because they said that you didn't sound like Winston, how did that make you feel?
Well, first off, you got to understand, I didn't go in and audition, and then when I finished auditioning, someone said, "You don't sound like Winston. Leave." No, it wasn't like that. They were doing the animated series. Now, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, they wouldn't do TV, I would imagine, because they probably made so much money. I mean, why? But I was a single dad, so the part was mine. But they said the director wanted to hear my voice. He wanted me to come in, so I went in, and I read the stuff he wanted me to read. And in the middle of it, he said, "Stop, stop." He said, "When Ernie Hudson did the role, he," and I'm like, this guy know that I'm Ernie Hudson. So, but I did it. He heard my voice, and that was it. And then I got a part in a movie. I was out of town for about 3 or 4 days, a short period. And then when I got back, they said they had cast Arsenio Hall because they knew that me, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold wouldn't want to do a TV series. And nobody asked me about that, So that's all I can say about it. I think the director wanted Arsenio. He was a friend of Arsenio's. He wanted Arsenio. He couldn't just offer him the part, so anyway, it was just very disappointing to me because I needed the job. Like I said, I had kids, I had rent to pay, I had, it would have, but it all worked out, it is what it is, and yeah, so
That's showbiz.
That's showbiz,
Hello, sir. What's your name?
Dexter. I guess my question is, Mr. Hudson, what inspired, you probably get this question a lot, what inspired you to say, hey, this is acting, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Well, I grew up in this little town called Benton Harbor, Michigan, and it's somebody actually from Benton Harbor, really. I don't see many people from Benton Harbor, but yeah, in fact, I just went home a few weeks ago, and they named the street that I grew up on. They renamed it Ernie Hudson Way, which is kind of cool. I was happy about that. And then and at the same time, I gave the high school commencement speech, 60 years anniversary after I graduated from that high school. So those are kind of. But I grew up. It was a poor town, and I never knew anybody in the industry. I never knew that I'd be an actor. I mean, people said, "Did you want to be an actor?" It was something that I didn't even think it was a possibility. And then I left Benton Harbor, went to Detroit, went to Wayne State University, and while I was in college, I saw a play. And when I saw that play, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Up until then, because I got married right out of high school, I tried so many jobs that I was really bad at. You know what I mean? I just really bad at it. And I always figured they're going to fire me as soon as they find out that I have no idea. I don't want to be here. I don't like this. So and I didn't want to spend my life. I knew it was something I wanted to do. Sometimes you don't know what it is, but you know it's something you want. And when I discovered acting, when I discovered theater, that was what I wanted. And once my grandmother would say that when you find what you want, then you ask God or you ask the universe. Once I figured that out, then that's what I did. But I was in college, and it seemed simple enough. I walk out on stage, and they give me this like script or book, and I say these lines, and the other guys say these lines, and this happens, and I say some more lines, and then I get paid. I can do that. I got it. I mean, it's like, So and it was better than some of the jobs, a lot better than some of the jobs I had. So once I discovered acting, that's all I wanted to do. But up until then, I was just lost. You know, I worked in
Great
a
question. Thank you.
factory, a foundry. I was worked for the telephone company. I was an insurance salesman. I did a whole bunch of stuff. But once you know where you belong, then it was about committing to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's your name?
Walter. Yeah, Mr. Hudson, I've been watching you for years, and one of my favorite movies when I was a preteen, teenager, 13, somewhere around there, you did the Cherokee Kid with Sinbad and that superstar cast that they had. You got any good stories coming off that set with Sinbad? We know he's had this struggles with his health lately.
Yeah.
Sinbad's one of my favorite comedians of all time. You got any good stories about him?
Yeah, Sinbad, actually, I was talking about being from Benton Harbor, Michigan. Sinbad's from Benton Harbor, Michigan. We're both from the same hometown. And yeah, except he's about, I don't know, 20 years younger than me, so he's a bit younger, but he is going through some health. I think he had a stroke or something, and he's been trying to recover from that. But very funny man, and it was a period when he got really hot. When I say hot, really, things were happening for him, and he cast me in Cherokee Kid. The only thing about, you know, it was Sinbad is just great. I bought a house, the first $1 million plus house I bought was in this very exclusive community called Hidden Hills, California, and I felt very good about coming from where I came from, and I got this expensive house, not thinking I got to pay for this thing, but I got it. I'm in the house. I got it now. So the first night we spend the night in the house. And I get up the next morning and I look out my back window. It was like the tennis court and the guest house. And in back of that was Sinbad. He was in my backyard. And it made so I went out and I said, Sinbad, what are you doing in my yard? And Sinbad actually owned the house next door to mine. So our backyard sort of, so it was two kids in Benton Harbor at, you know, overspending for a house that they couldn't afford. But yeah, so it was just a lot of fun, you know. I can't think of the actress's name. But I remember Gregory Hines was supposed to be, he was on the show and he was supposed to be really fast, you know, the gun thing, but, oh God, I can't think of it. Anyway, but she kept beating him fast drawing, and that was fun. Dawn Lewis, yeah. Dawn could outdraw Gregory. And anyway, it was just fun to do. It was a great show. I told them that, well, I don't have a problem with the horses, but the stunt man said, if you ride the horses, my guys aren't going to be able to work. So if you do me a favor, just tell them that you're not comfortable with horses. That way, the stunt guys get a chance to work. And I said, fine. So I told the producers, I'm not comfortable with horses. And so they took it literally. So they had the other guys on horses, and they got me a little ladder to sit on. And I was like, well, when I said I'm not comfortable, I'm not, you know, I mean, I can actually ride a horse. But they said, no, we don't take any chances. I'm like, no, but it's okay. So there's a scene where I'm on, they got a little bitty horse. I don't know where they found this little tiny horse. And I'm like the leader of the gang. So I'm sitting on this little horse, and everybody else is up here on these big horses. But anyway, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like the movie.
Great question. Thank you. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Daniel. What was your favorite scene in any of the Ghostbuster movies?
Oh, my favorite scene, probably the scene in the second movie, on the train tracks when the train runs through me, and yeah, that was a lot of fun because it was a chance for me to have a moment, and it was a lot of fun. The guys were great. Yeah, but it was a lot of a lot of great scenes that I enjoyed doing. But that one stands out.
What's your favorite scene?
Probably when all the ghosts come out of the containment unit and Slimer's in the hot dog stand and he comes out with all the hot dogs in his mouth.
Yeah, yeah. That's a scene that none of us were in.
Hey, what's your name?
Dave. So as a fan of the original Quantum Leap, I was super skeptical when the new Quantum Leap came along. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think your version eventually surpassed the original. It's so well done.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you said you watched the original. Were you aware of the importance of who your character was in the original Quantum Leap story when you first took on the role?
Well, obviously I found out when they cast me. I didn't. It was something I found out after the fact, and they were kind enough to write a scene, sort of explaining the connection. But before then, no, I wasn't really totally aware. I had to kind of go back and review it. But it was a blessing to be a part of that, really.
Thank you. Hi, what's your name?
My name is Tamar. Oh, well, I've been hearing on the con grapevine that back in '94 you used to be a cop.
Back in '94, well, I was never a police officer, so I should probably clarify that. But I was part of a volunteer force, the city that I lived in. We used to do some fundraising, for the police, not just the police department, for the community. And they had some volunteer sheriffs, and so for maybe about 8 years, I finally gave up my badge because people would tell me these horror stories of this one department and since I wasn't really a police officer, I really felt that I, shouldn't represent. Now, how I got to be, now that's a story. So I decided to become a volunteer policeman because after the second Ghostbusters, I was asked to come to a school, an elementary school, and speak to the kids. And during that time, I would go around the schools and I'd make kids volunteer Ghostbusters, and it was kind of cool, and try to encourage the kids. And the teachers liked Ghostbusters because the kids play Ghostbusters, they didn't fight each other, unlike the Mutant Ninja Turtles where they try to, So I went to the school in Pasadena. I was living in another city about 90 miles away, but I went to Pasadena and checked in the hotel, went to the school, did the thing, felt very good about myself, came back, got my stuff, checked out of the hotel, and the staff wanted autographs, so I signed autographs, and I took photos, and I felt very celebrity-like, I'm a good guy. I saw the kids, I'm doing these autographs for the people, and I walked, got my bag, and I walked through the garage door, and as I walked through the door, these guys grabbed me, slammed me to the ground. I started to fight back, but something said, don't fight back. I'm on the ground, I'm looking around, I see these boots, and it looks like about 14 people, and I don't really know what's going on, but this guy now has me in a chokehold, and he's choking me. He's going to tell me, don't tell this story. So I'm in a chokehold on the ground, and I'm really confused because I don't really know what's going on. And I hear someone say, "Oh my God, that's the guy, man! That's the guy from Ghostbusters." and the guy who had me in the chokehold, he grabbed me, he twisted my neck around, and he looked me in the face and he says, "Oh shit." He says, "It's the Ghostbuster guy." So he kind of, they picked me up, and I was like, and they kind of dusted me off, and they said, "Sorry about that." And I was like, I don't, and it's like they're all policemen. They're all there, and and they said, we thought we got a report of a kid robbing a store, and you fit the description. Now, I was 50 years old at the time. I mean, but on the other hand, I couldn't quite. At first, I felt bad because I didn't fight back, but then I thought if I had fought back, I could have got shot, and I didn't know. I just didn't know what to do, and so they said they took some pictures, and I took pictures, and then I drove home, and I just felt it was just awful. I didn't know. My wife said we can report it, and I'm like, I got in the shower, and I showered. Anyway, it was just awful. But I have a good friend, and he's on the volunteer sheriff's department. So he said, "Ernie," he said, "Man, that's awful. They shouldn't have done that. But sometimes things happen." He said, "You know what? I head this volunteer department, and we should get you a shield. We should get you a badge, or if anything ever happens to you, you just show your badge. Say, my badge is in my pocket," and you show it, and then they'll leave you alone. And first I thought, I'll never do that. And then I thought, maybe it's not a bad idea. So I went, and I did all the training, which is kind of interesting because I learned a lot from both sides. I mean, it's the idea of doing that job, I couldn't do it. I mean, just the idea of But on the other hand, I also felt the other side as well. So for a number of years, I was part of that, and then again, like I said, people would come up and say that police came to the wrong house and all these horror stories. So anyway, but that's why I became a sheriff, and that's how I did not stay a sheriff. So
well, there you go.
yeah.
Got anything coming up on the horizon you're allowed to share with us? Any future projects?
Yeah, there's an animated feature we're doing, even though it's got pushed back a little bit. It's called Oswald Down the Rabbit Hole. That should be a lot of fun. And Family Business is on BET Plus and Netflix. That we're in our 5th season now. And I'm just really looking for something that's kind of fun. I was doing a promotion for Ghostbusters, and I took my jacket off, and I had a T-shirt on, and so people noticed I had arms, and so now at almost 80, I want to be sexy, so I'm gonna. I mean, in Ghostbusters, I said I'm the sex appeal, so I'm gonna. So I'm looking for something that's going to be fun to do as opposed to being somebody's boss. I'm tired of being the boss, the captain, the principal, all these responsibilities. I've always had a good physique, but I've been in suits mostly, so I don't want to wear a suit in anybody else's movie for a while. So, that's it.
Well, we absolutely look forward to all that. Raleigh GalaxyCon 2024. This was Ernie Hudson.